So first of all, thank you so much for joining us today for this Using Showbie to Support Your Remote Learning webinar. I just wanted to run through a couple of things just before we get started. If you have any questions at all throughout the session about anything that Chris is speaking about or the platform in general, you can post these questions in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, and we will be answering those questions throughout the session. So if you have anything you want to ask, please feel free to post it in there, and hopefully we should have the answer for you. We won't be checking the chat tab for questions. If you wish to talk amongst yourselves, you are more than welcome to do so here. But like I said, answers will only be given to questions posted in Q&A. So like I said, if you do have a question, please post it in Q&A and we should get an answer for you. And then finally, please don't worry either about making any notes throughout the session. A recording will be emailed across to you after this webinar is finished. So kind of just sit back, relax, and kind of take in what Chris is telling you, basically. So without further ado, I am delighted to introduce you to, for those of you who don't know him yet, to Chris Lawson. So Chris is a teacher at a UK primary school and is also a Showbie certified educator. He's been using Showbie for 7 years now, and he'll be taking you through some tips and tricks on how to use Showbie to make your remote life easier. So with that being said, over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Sarah, and welcome and hello everyone to this Supporting Your Remote Learning with Showbie webinar. I hope it is a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening to you all, and especially for those who maybe like myself are based in the UK schools who are either working from home or have rushed home or still are in school. I'm with you all at this point. So what I want to do today is I really want to take you through our school journey and inspire and motivate you in how you can use Showbie to its full advantage in these very unusual times. I am a UK primary school teacher based in the northwest of England, and I'm also an Apple Distinguished Educator and do work with Showbie and help and support teachers across the globe. So what I thought I'd do to start with is I'd just explain where we're going and what we're doing. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to look at some functionality in a remote learning context, have a look at the value features of screen recording and quick marking, have a look at pro feature utilization of groups and Gradebook, maybe even touch on the video chat feature and integrating with other educational apps. But I have quite an interesting task here, having seen the people who are signed up for this webinar, that we've got primary schools and secondary schools and special schools from the UK and way, way, way beyond too. So my intention is to make sure that everybody gets something from this session. And if that doesn't happen, then here is my email and there's a Q&A tab as well to make sure that we get your question answered. And if there's something that I've briefly gone over and you need more information, then please do head to that. So I'm going to jump in, and I'm very, very excited today because the eagle-eyed among you may notice something quite interesting, and that is that the version of the app which I'm going to be using today is in fact a beta version, or a version which is due to be released later today, tomorrow. So you are all going to be one of the first to see this in all its glory. But before I do that, I just want to talk you guys through me and my journey and where I am in our remote learning context. So where we are is in my school, all the teachers in the school are in school at present. Despite, and I know there will be a couple of UK educators giggling at this, despite things along the lines of that schools are closed, we're up to 40% of our students that are in at the moment. So we've got, in my class in particular, 10 children at school with me and another 21 number 19 at home. So we've got a real mix of children in a remote learning context and in a school context. And it is no doubt a very, very difficult situation to be in. And so it's my job to try and make that a little bit easier for you today without overwhelming you, especially with the fact that we've all had, some of us or most of us have had a very long day. Now then, I am just going to thankfully double check my screen share here. There we go. There we go, that looks better. It looked a little bit prettier on the blue background, but we're just going to go with that for now. So, welcome to my Showbie class. Today, I'm going to talk to you in detail about numerous different features, but I'm going to start with the very basics of setup. And I'm not going to go through, don't worry if you are a Showbie certified educator or a Showbie full-timer who's thinking, oh my goodness me, is going to start from the beginning. I'm not, don't worry. But I wanted to talk to you about a couple of key things that we discovered very, very early on. The first thing that we discovered was usernames and passwords was becoming an issue. And keep an eye out for today and tomorrow, a new release feature of bulk QR code releases. And what that means is that you'll be able to send out QR codes to students. And I have done this today. You wouldn't believe it, but there was a student who just couldn't remember his username and password, even when I typed it to him. So we sent a QR code to one of his parents, and the parent helped him to get in and get on with his learning, which is superb. So that's something that is coming up very, very soon. And I'm going to now jump into my class. So welcome to Showbie 6.4 on iPad. As you can see, it's got a bit of a new look. Which may excite some people. I hope there's some, I just feel like I'm talking to a screen, but hopefully there's some people who are whooping and cheering at this new design layout. I'm very excited by it. So today I'm using my actual remote learning class. I have gone and anonymized all my students' names, and I'm hoping that they're not going to send me any messages, but this is live. So if there are some messages that come up, just note that, and I know everyone will understand that, being educators too. So this is a look into my class. And the first thing that you will see is that we as a school opted for daily folders. And the reason why we opted for daily folders over, for example, a week's worth of folders with the subjects in it was that we felt, well, okay, the truth is that we did it for the first week and it didn't work. And so we swapped it around, and now we've gone to daily folders. And it just means that those students, first of all, know what day it is, which for us all right now is a rarity. But once they've got that, they can head into that class and all their content's there. So for example, if we have a look at today, which is Wednesday, the 27th, we can see here that I've set up a morning check-in, collective worship as a Christian school, maths, English, and then we had double computing in the spirit of Showbie this afternoon. So this was our setup, and schools may have very different setups, but for us, this really worked. Alternative ways would be creating classes for each one of the subjects and then utilizing the folders in that way too. But what we wanted to do as a school is we wanted to make sure that it was a hub for all content, all knowledge, all information. And this is vital because what we didn't want is emails going out and other alternative apps being used for communication with teachers and so forth. So as well as the folders, we also have a set of some assignments. And we can see one here called communication. Now, communication is the most simple thing to do. What it is an assignment that's called communication. And as soon as you can create that, you train the students to use that to their advantage to communicate and talk with me. And again, we can see here, there's masses of communication backwards and forwards. I've got somebody's cake here that they cooked me, and a load of other random things, which I would only dare show you. Very unusual things, including pets doing homework and random things like that too. But we use this communication box as the hub of all our contact. So it's where our students and our parents can communicate with us. Because as a primary school, we know that we're not just teaching and supporting and helping students, but we're also trying to help and support the parents, especially those children in Key Stage 1 and reception in the early years, where actually it's not the students maybe who are using Showbie as much as it is actually the parents who've had to get used to it too. Let's just take a little look further into the setup of the class in particular then. So if we just jump forward to Thursday, you'll be able to see here that the that what I had planned isn't actually there. What I was going to show you was that this here is where you can lock the assignments, which they were already supposed to be like that. And so as a result, the students wouldn't be able to see that content. It would be locked as an assignment until I release it. And so for me, if I were now planning my class and getting myself ready, I would go through all of these like so, lock them until I want to unlock them. And this is really useful because it keeps students really closely linked to where their learning is for that particular day. If we also think about this though, there is an alternative way of doing this. And that is to use the differentiated distribution of a shared items folder. In the shared items folder, we've got ways to be able to utilize and send information at particular times. Now, this is a feature that I'm still not sure you all might know about, and we've been trying to shout about it from the rooftops, but it's a brilliant one. So I can send a message here. I teach year 5 with a capital Y. But I can then decide if I want to send that now or I want to send it later. Now I can schedule this to open by using this scheduler and going into set a schedule and say that I want it opening on this day at this time and I want to make it editable. But what I can also do is if I want more manual control over it, I can go to the shared items folder. I can select none and I can click save and click post. Now, I'm going to come back to the shared items folder and select no one later, but actually that's just sitting there now. And that means that I can queue up all my content and then I can just change that, select all and save, and that would send that out to them all. Let's be brave. Let's see if any of them respond. Hopefully they've all finished for the day. It's nearly 5 o'clock. But if I tap back now, that will have gone to all those students. And yes, it has, because it's just come up on one of my devices in front of me. Okay, so there is a slight look at the way that we have gone about setting it up. Obviously, as I go further, I'm going to explain why we've set it up in particular ways also. So now let's move on and have a look at engagement and learning. The first thing that I want to look at with you today is the engagement of the screen recording feature. And we, as a school, have found really high engagement. And I feel that this is because we've used the screen recording feature to its full advantage. It allows students to see their teachers. And at the end of the day, that's what they really want to be able to do. So this is the only feature that I can't fully show you because it doesn't work whilst also in presenting mode on Zoom. But if you went into any particular day and you went into any particular document and you will go to either a student or a shared items and then tap the plus sign, just underneath quiz will be the words screen recording on an iPad which is compatible with it and on the latest operating system of iOS 13 and 14 and on the latest versions of Showbie. So here we can see this is my lesson today. This hasn't been set up. This isn't a model. This is exactly what my class has been like today. And we can see here that we've got some work and then we have these launches. So this is a launch which was created. I'm so sorry to have to start this maths lesson. Now this was because the children weren't doing marking as I'd asked them. So I decided to put some sad music underneath and tell them that it was really sad, and it goes through. And then we can see here, I jumped straight into the screen recording aspect. And I'm talking through the content and I'm able to move myself around the screen if need be, flick beyond, and also use the annotation tools at the same time. So this for me is has become the main tool. We went down a route of not doing live lessons, but doing pre-recorded lessons with live drop-ins where required. So again, for me, this was a perfect way of doing it, and that is that screen recording feature. Really think about how that can be used, but not only from the teacher perspective, but actually also from the student perspective. So I'm going to jump into Monday's lesson here. And on Monday, we did some work with Socrative, which I'm going to come to in a little moment. But we can see here, this is actually a student who's also used screen recording.
I'm Mr. Lawson. This is my review of the division revision Socrative quiz. So
he's going to go through now and he's going to start talking to me, explaining where he went right, where he went wrong, what he needs to do to improve. And that is just fantastic use of that screen recording feature, particularly for certain students who you really do want to focus on and you want to make sure that they're able to articulate their learning. So there, for me, a really, really useful integrated feature, and a feature that's free and is available for everyone in the app. And that is really important. Onto something about engagement and learning that isn't a free feature, but is more of a pro feature, is Socrative and the quiz feature. So I'm just going to quickly show you here. This was Monday's lesson. And we have some division revision here. I like the rhyme. Anything that rhymes, any primary school teachers will know we try and rhyme anything. And we can see here the responses, and we can show the results. And we've got this wonderful QLA grid here, which actually shows me quite promisingly that the children have done quite well, considering that they've been working at home, maybe apart from on question 15. So here, this is me using a pro version of Socrative, which has been directly linked into Showbie, pushed out to the students, and they've completed it. And here we can see their answers. I can show their names, which I'm not going to do for GDPR, but it's there. You can see the questions and what they've put in, and you can actually then go and even look at the particular question that it was and analyze that in a little bit more detail. When I did that though, I had this option here to tap on these buttons and to distribute the scores and distribute the reports. So every single individual student here has got their own report back of how they did in this particular session and where they went right and where they went wrong. And here we've got a student who has used a voice note to explain where they went wrong, or where in this one, I think it was actually the fact that he didn't give quite enough information. And so he's got to go back now and he's going to add that information in now. So you can see how we can have this sort of second level of assessment. Really, we're not just assessing students and getting and gaining a grade, but we're also going a little bit further with that. So for me, engagement has been key, and by using something like this, it's helped. But there are also a couple of other features and other unique ways that I've done and used things. You'll all see that my class is emojified. I don't know if that's a verb, but it is now. And it's here where we can see that I've tried to just make it a little bit more child friendly with different emojis and things like that. But we can actually use emojis for a quite powerful purpose as well. So if we take a look in last Thursday's work, for example, and have a look at maths, you'll be able to see here that I've used the grade tool and emojis together to actually be able to, on the fly, see which students are fully engaged with a tick, which students have maybe struggled a little bit on the task in general, or those that I'm yet to mark or provide feedback on. So here we can see, for example, that student A has got it and is all sorted. And this is the particular work here. Now, to add a grade is a pro feature, and you just tap in the top right, and then you can add that grade. You can change the emoji, and you can change this numerous times and revise the grade. But you can see here where that's the case. But we can also see on student C that there's something that hasn't quite gone right. So we can see here, it's actually, please remember to mark the second page, or to do the second page firstly, and then self-mark it. And so here again, we've got that idea that I can really quickly come back to that work and spot that work and help that student if need be. And so this is how we're working. You can also see here in a little bit more detail that I've been using Explain Everything, which I'm going to show you in a moment, to really engage and hook and support students. And one of the ways that we do that is by using these on-the-fly collaborations with Explain Everything. And I'm just going to show you this now. So if I were finding that children were finding this particularly difficult, then I can actually tap and long press and hold, and I can then go into the share option. I can open up Explain Everything. It will import the folder like so, and it will then allow me to tap on invite. And if you were all on Explain Everything now, you would get that particular link there, and that would allow you in to start watching me in a live whiteboarding session. It would also allow me to give you, as the student, the pen, and actually be able to write on this particular canvas as well. So we use this in small groups, a small group intervention to engage those who are harder to reach. And the wonderful thing about Explain Everything and Showbie is that it's cross-platform too, from iOS to iPad and to Mac, PC, Android devices, anything that can basically get on the internet and use a web browser. So this for me has really started to use and engage. And again, this is something that Showbie could help and support you with, but I'm very conscious that there are other things too. And I don't want to stick to, I want to show people the things that you can do, which is super quick, super easy and quick wins. But you can see here that those grade tools can really help with that clarity and also for students, because as the students receive things in their, bear with me, I just wanted to swap that to there. As students receive things in their activity center in the top right, it will also flag to them the grade that's been given. And if they know now that they need to look out for an orange thing, then that would help. And here we can see the work that's starting to come in from the students in the activity center. I really hope that some people aren't only discovering the activity center for the first time, but if so, it's the bell in the top right-hand corner that will make your life amazingly more better and fantastic than ever before. And so when we look at engagement, the activity center is in fact a massive, massive bonus for us, because as teachers, it means that I can go into filtering via assignment. So I can go and particularly look at a particular morning check-in like this morning, and I can see, is it 26th? Oh, it was yesterday's, and see if there is anything that I'm yet to actually mark or yet to see. I can remove that and I can jump to maths for today or English for today or anything of that sort. And I can click done. And then these are all the things that I'm yet to read. So these are what are classed as unread. And at this point, we can sort of start to tap on that. And what's lovely about it is that if I tap on one in particular, this is a bit risky because I don't actually know which bit's which, but we'll have a go on. You can actually see that the student's data will come through and it will take you directly to it. So if I just tap on that, it will take me to that place in the app, apart from the fact that I've just changed their names for GDPR, so obviously that won't come across, but it will take me directly into there and then to that particular student's file. So that is for me a really useful feature that hopefully people find beneficial too. So I'm just going to stop for a moment. I can already see lots and lots of questions coming in here, which is just fantastic to see. And I just want to see if there's anything that I need to pick up on. At the moment, guys, in the background, I've got Sarah and Abdul. Is there anything at this point in time that is worth me picking up, or shall I just keep plowing on through?
I do have a question I thought you would be good to answer. So somebody's asked, is there a way to highlight certain comments to children within shared items? I share my screen through Teams, and sometimes it would really help if the comment box was a different color.
Yeah, okay. No, there isn't a particular way to highlight a particular comment, and I understand that it can get a little bit lost within it. So I always try to use, again, I'm an emoji fan. I try to use those. So if I'm making any announcements, I like to put those out with like a little speaker in front of them. If I'm giving a warning or some feedback or something like that, I'll use different emojis for that. But yeah, to be able to do that at this point in time, I'm not 100% sure. I know that we get the Q&As in, and I can have another little look at that question in particular later and see if we can come back to it. And I know Abdul, our VP of Learning in the background, might be getting his brain thinking on a nice little workaround with that, because there are gratefully so many little workarounds within Showbie to help. Okay, let's move on now and have a little look at distribution and supporting students. So I want to take a look at today's maths lesson. And in the maths lesson today, I had two particular things that I wanted to send out to students. And so this is where I really started to utilize the send to everyone feature, send to no one feature, send to some feature. So here down the side, I'm just going to take off the large preview so you can see it just a little bit easier. You can see here that down the bottom, I've got 14 students having one document, 17 students having another document, and then everybody else being sent something to. And what I really like about the shared items folder, I did that by using the shared post, but I could also do it here by putting something like testing out the feature. And I could actually put future, why not? I can actually send that now. And once I've posted it, I've tested that out, I've sent that to everyone. I just tap on that, tap edit, and I can select or deselect any student in particular, and then that will remove it from their particular one. Remove, and now that will only go to those students that are selected. So if you've got a group of children who found a particular question difficult or tricky, then what you could do is you could send that document out to just those particular students by just doing that really quickly. You can do it before uploading the document, or you can do it after uploading the document retrospectively too. And this really does help. It also means that I can send notes to co-teachers. So obviously you're seeing this from a teacher perspective, but say Abdul was in my class and he was co-teaching with me, or my teaching assistant, I could maybe put check out CFGAHT, and I can just make sure that I send that to no one. And then that actually will just be seen by that teacher and no one else. And so actually we've seen some amazing uses of send to no one. We've seen uses like teachers uploading lesson plans and teachers sharing particular notes with other teachers. And obviously the students can't see that unless you then screen share. So obviously do be very wary of that. But it's a really nice little feature there, which you might like to look into. So it's really good for that differentiated group and support. What I want to look at now is how you can use other features within Showbie to help and support further. So we've talked about differentiation via the shared items folder. We've talked about being able to use just basically the annotation features to be able to go in, look for a particular child's piece of work. Let's choose this particular child's. We can jump in, and then we can go in and we can start looking at annotating on here, highlighting anything in particular, or even adding a voice note into that particular point and supporting them that way. But there's also alternatives which we can use, especially if you and your school invest in sort of a hybrid approach. So you may have seen, and you might have used it in lockdown 1 as it was in beta, but Showbie does have a video call feature. So here, if we tap in the top right-hand corner, in fact, I will do it on my test account so I don't ring that child. Say this child in particular is struggling, I just tap here, start the video chat. This would then start the chat, request the permissions, allow, and here we go. And I'm now on a video chat for the student to join, and you'll be able to see here that the little blue banner comes up. So we've been using that to try and help and support students when they've been finding things tricky and difficult by jumping into one-to-one sessions. What's great about that is if you do that via the web app, it also records them for you. So it allows you then to be able to share that content back with them too, which is a really useful feature. So we've been using one-to-one, we've been using Explain Everything, as I've just mentioned to you, to help and support. But we've mostly just been using whole class feedback and using these little things like this. This is just an on-the-fly video, which I've run
just
today.
A quick video here for you, looking at one question in particular.
So just a quick talking screen record here to go through a question which
could be 24,
children were finding particularly difficult. And so I know in a lot of schools right now, there's a massive amount of emphasis and pressure on feedback, marking, monitoring, and we've tried to just find a really nice happy balance. And the happy balance we found is whole class support, whole class feedback where possible, and then jumping into a little bit more detailed feedback where need be. But we've also looked at how we can use groups. So I know a couple of people dropped us a tweet on Showbie Twitter and said, well, how could we use groups and utilize groups? Now, this is the only thing at the moment I'm going to struggle to show you because obviously there's student data in here. But basically, we've got a couple of different ones. The first group we have here is called PDA Teacher Chat. And Teacher Chat is where my school teachers can send documents, send things, upload videos, upload content for the staff, and then the staff can just use the copy feature from the group and put it into their particular folder. The other way which we've used groups is for one-to-one, one-to-two, or group intervention. So we've set up a phonics group, we've set up a couple of other groups as well that allow students to join at a particular time of the day, a timetable time in the day, maybe 9:15, 9:30, and a teaching assistant will go through some phonic knowledge with them or some mental maths or something along those lines. So that's the way that we've been trying to utilize groups as much as we possibly can. And obviously with the co-teaching feature, which is included in Showbie Pro, you also have that amazing opportunity to work collaboratively with your classes. So if I go into here, you can see that I'm actually sat in all of my teachers' classes in school, all my staff's classes, I'm sat in. And that means that instead of 5, 6 students, teachers, uploading the same file themselves, I can go into their folders and upload that for them. Subject specialists can go and upload particular content into particular children's folders. And if we have a member of staff who goes down ill or sick, then another teacher can try and pick that up, as I know is becoming a major issue in schools across the world where we're struggling with staffing capacity. So we've been using the groups feature for things in particular around phonics interventions. But again, what is stopping you going much higher up and much further into the secondary schools and higher into further education, and being able to use those as collaborative groups where students can work together on particular things? And that all comes down to you as a teacher and your school and the way that you set that up. So we're just going to jump back into my whole class assignment group now and have a look here. I wanted to I really do want to make sure there's plenty of time for Q&A, so I'm going to try and just throw a few last things at you here. But I wanted to draw attention to something that I know is massively in the press right now, which is around social and emotional health and well-being of the students. And I just want to show you, it's a thing that I'm extraordinarily passionate about. And please, if it's your passion and your drive, then do reach out to me, because I'm always looking to help and support people and discuss it with others. But the thing that I really want to make sure of here is that these students feel loved, cared, valued, and that they feel part of the class, even though they're at a massive distance. So we have one-to-one check-ins, but we also have whole class check-ins in the morning. We have 30-second dance parties where we put music on and they just have a little dance to start their day. And they can also just sort of share and say how they're feeling, which I know many are doing. But then I also have looked to try and build in an element of something a little bit different too. So here I've got my students, and I just want to show you, it is a little bit sad. I'll be honest with you, but I have asked this child if they're okay with me sharing it. But this was Monday morning, and on Monday morning, I set the students this little blob tree. Now, if you've never come across a blob tree before, guys, you're missing out. But blob trees are basically a way for students to articulate how they're feeling. So we're going to have a look at these in a moment. But this in particular was one student. And this student, bless her, she does really struggle with her spelling. But she explained to me that she was feeling really sad because her dog might be put down. And that must be the most awful thing for her, especially considering that she's not in school for that help and support. But we were able to sort of jump on a quick call, help and talk to her and chat to her. And her mum sent me an email a little bit later, sort of saying, wow, you've transformed her mood and she's feeling so much better. Thank you so much. But with the quick marking feature, which is another wonderful feature here, I can just jump super quickly. Here's a child who just wanted to colour in the word blob tree. But there are others here that we can sort of jump through and we can see what they've all put onto the blob tree. I feel secure around my family whilst I do my work. You know, this kid's just loving playing Fortnite. Wonderful. There we go. And we've just got loads of students who are able to put on how they're feeling and what they're articulating. And that is just great for me to see a massive, quick, on the fly reference. So I just wanted to share that as an example of something that you could use and something that you might like to adopt yourself. It doesn't have to be that. We also did something last week on, let's see, have I got it archived? Nope. Show archived, let me find it. Oh gosh, it's all merging into one. Yeah, it was Friday the 22nd. We uploaded these little emotion graphs. Again, just found them on Google and we did a little one there and we were able to talk about our emotions and the children were able to then jump onto this, use the annotation features and articulate how they were feeling at that point in time. And obviously trying to get away from these sorts of emotions and start to get them using the ones on the outer circles. Which for me was really useful. And we can see again here, all the ones with the paper clips are all the students who engaged with that and told me how they were feeling. And again, I can just tap on here and I can just literally go, I'm anxious because of COVID and I don't know what's going to happen. You know, these are students who feel that they're able to discuss and talk about how they're feeling, and every student articulated themselves in a different way. But you can see within this part of 30 seconds of me just flicking through here, in fact, bless them, that child's got lots of feelings. But we can go through here and we can sort of start to see straight away how my class is feeling right now. And for me, I think that's more important than any English or maths right now. So I just wanted to show you how you could use those annotation features and those quick marking features to really help and support. A couple of other things just to throw at you, and this is my attempt to make sure everyone goes away with something that is beneficial to them. And so here, I just want to show you, we did an English session on the 14th of the 1st, Mr. Lawson, that's where we're going, here. So on the 14th of the 1st, we were utilizing and looking at how to use the text note feature. So here the students have done their own little text maps. We use something called Talk for Writing. Can you sense my slight frustration? There is a part 2. As some children just watch the first video and then just don't seem to look at the next one. But here is my Talk for Writing map. And then what I did was I used my voice note here, and then the students were able to come in after it on the back of that, and were able to record their own Talk for Writing or their own sayings of it back. So here you can see my voice, and then this is the student's voice that they've recorded.
It had been her grandmother's and now it was hers. Leah.
And you can see here then that they're learning the text map. How do we do that in a remote learning context? Well, there's a way, with voice notes. We've also found that children are significantly more engaged with voice notes and that they enjoy it more. And for those on a PC as well, they find it just that little bit easier. So that's just another little thing. Abdul told me to mention this one because he was in a webinar the other day and he couldn't believe that people didn't know this, and it was my fault because I've not shared it hard enough on social media. But that you can use an Apple Pencil and just write on the thing and it will turn it into text. It's called Scribble. This is on iOS 14 and it's a fantastic, and you can scribble it out as well. You can do this in any text box or any text document. So I can jump into here, for example, and I can go into the comment tool and I can put, wow, this is, and you can write off the page as well. And then that will take it in. So that's just a nice little one. If you are an absolute golden gem and you love your Apple Pencil, then that might be a really nice thing. Couple of more things, and then we're over to question and answer. I just wanted to point out these are things that schools may already be doing. We have a reading record, which is online. The students can tell us what books they're reading from home, and they can read to us as the teacher, which is quite nice. A lot of the children do a Mr. Lawson bedtime story, which is just awesome. And then we also do a daily class story. So here we've got the story of, we're doing Goodnight Mr. Tom at the moment, and you can see that every day I've read a chapter, and the students are then able to jump in and sort of say how they're feeling about it and what they're enjoying and so forth, and make a comment on that, which is really nice too. So I'm all up to date on the story, or I'm really enjoying this book, and so forth. So that's one nice thing. And the last thing that I wanted to share with you today, again on that social emotional well-being background, is this daily 3 good things. So every single day I model to the children 3 good things about my life. It can be the feeling of coming in from the cold to the warm, a video lesson, or this or that. And this was just me walking in wellies. One day I went on a bit of a walk, and I uploaded myself walking in wellies, and then loads of children that weekend went out on a walk and walked in wellies themselves and sent that in. And it was just a way to try and engage in positive things. And I had a message from a student today who was saying that they were feeling a little bit low. And I said, go and check your 3 positive things of everything from the last 3 weeks that has made you smile. And they came back and we said, that was so cool. I'd forgotten about all those things. So there's just a couple of little hints and tips there of little things that might make that remote teaching and that remote life easier. And then obviously this is an opportunity for you guys to come into a question and answer session now. You've got Abdul as the VP of Learning. You've got myself and Sarah, who's been helping and supporting educators across the world during the whole of this pandemic, to really try and make sure that we can get this remote learning classroom set up as good as we possibly can for you and support you as much as we can. And there are some major features coming out in the coming weeks and months to try and help you with that too, starting in the next couple of days. So do keep an eye out for this update that you've seen today. So I didn't want to overwhelm. I know people's capacity is extremely limited right now. I really, really do hope that I've been able to give you a little hint and tip, even if it's something like the communication box and you can take that away, or the 3 positive things, or setting up folders in this particular way. I really do hope I'm able to do that for you. And if I haven't, then let me know, because that will, number one, gut me, because I've spent ages trying to think about what features I can explain to you, but also I will want to help. So do reach out to me, chris@showbie.com, and I will be working this evening to be able to respond to any of those, and obviously get this recording sent out to you as well. So I haven't been able to check because I've just been chatting along. I can see now, oh wow, we've got an awful lot of questions which have come through, which is fantastic, and Sarah and Abdul have been busy answering these, which is fantastic. So thank you so much, guys, for that. Is there any in particular, Sarah, Abdul, that we think we should maybe pick up on, or Abdul, you've seen you think are worth picking up on?
Yeah, we do have a few which I feel would be good for you to answer. They're mainly about things that you've gone through. So the first question would be, if you have multiple assignments in one assignment, is there a way to then separate that grade out?
There isn't a way to separate the grade. What it does is it takes the most recent grade, but it still holds the previous grades in it. So the way that I would explain that is, if you've got assignment 1, assignment 2, and assignment 3, and you upload them through a course of a week, for example. This was a structure that I used when I was teaching in person to person. I like to have a week's worth of work in an assignment. I would then, the grades would come in as the work is added, but there isn't a way to export them in that regard at the moment. No, there isn't a way to do that. So that would definitely be something we could look at. But again, something that is really important is if that is something that you're looking at as a major feature requirement and need, reach out to me today via that email, chris@showbie.com. But if you could just explain why that's required and needed, and then maybe I could find a way around that. And if not, then obviously I can pass that straight back to our development team and see if it's something that is usable and doable and makeable.
The next one is there a setting that I can turn on to notify me when students post a voice note or video or picture? I get emails when they comment, but not when they post anything else, and I keep missing the voice notes.
Right. That sounds to me just like they are not quite set up on the correct permissions. So going into a particular class, there's two ways to have permissions or notifications within Showbie. The first way is the whole class or the whole system. So you can turn notifications totally on or totally off. You can turn emails totally on or totally off. But then you can go per class. And that will allow you to make, I'll try and jump back in, so just bear with me a second. I'll try and show you here. So this is my remote learning class. I can jump into now class settings, go to notification preferences, and here you can see where I've got emails which have been turned on or off. And I think, Sarah, that particular question is where they might be having emails turned on for when a comment or file is added, but it might not be turned on for when a file is annotated. That would be my thought. That would be my gut instinct. So it's almost like the voice notes which they're leaving on a document, they're not being notified of that, but they will be getting that notification in the top right in that bell. So again, my advice there would be to try and utilize and use that bell to their advantage to be able to jump on to do that.
Right, thank you. The next one we have is, do you have to turn anything on for the Apple Pencil to work? I've just tried it and it just moves my page.
No. So that would sound to me like one of two things. They might not be on iOS 14, which is where Scribble is automatically generated. It won't be anything to do with the Showbie update either. It will be most likely iOS 14. So it has to be an Apple Pencil 1 or 2. And it is all, that isn't a Showbie feature. That is 100% an Apple feature. So Apple recognizes that there's a text box and then allows you to use the Scribble feature. So it would be general, about, and you're looking for iOS 14. If it's less than 14, you need to try and upgrade to 14. If you can't, then unfortunately, that's not our fault, that's Apple, and that your device isn't quite up to the required standards for Scribble.
We do have a couple of people just asking if you could go through the reading record assignment feature again, just so they could see that again.
The which one, sorry?
The reading record assignment.
Yeah.
So the reading of the novel.
Yeah, so this is the daily class story. So all I've done here, and then I'll show you the other one as well. So the daily class story is literally just the students here. I read to the students in school, the 9 children I've got, and then the others go on. And so I can just play this voice note here.
Okay, welcome to chapter number 17.
I had to think about that. It was in Roman numerals and it's not my strongest point. So that's the first one. The second one is the reading record. This is different. And this is whereby students are able to upload the books that they're reading at home, like so, and are able to comment on them. And here we've got Jake, who's actually reading Zach, who's reading Jake Atlas. So I could tap on that, and that's a video of Zach, and he's reading that work in particular. And then these are the little ones here. So this is, you can see this goes right back. This goes, and you can see like there, that's the head teacher commenting on it. So this has just been an awesome way of doing reading records from home. And this was established in September because we moved all our homework onto Showbie before in September. And so that's when that was used. So they're able to do little reviews and things like that. But mostly I just enjoy the fact that they're able to read me a bedtime story or something like that. And it just makes them feel listened to and cared for.
Great.
Any other questions?
Yeah, when you mentioned about the Apple Pencil and Showbie updates, do those updates automatically appear on accounts, or do you have to kind of search for them?
You don't have to search for any updates. The best advice I could give if you're sat in front of your device now is to press the little question mark in the bottom right hand corner. You'll see here that this is on version 6.4. That is the version which is being released today or tomorrow. So yours will be 6.3.9 hopefully. If it's not 6.3.9, then that means that you're not on the most recent update. You'll need to go to the App Store to update your iPad app. But I'd always point out at this point as well that you might have an MDM solution where your school manages your updates. So you might need to go and talk to your tech provider about that. Just another quick one here, I'll just show you because I have been mainly based around the iOS app just because it was easier to do, to share. But obviously this is the web app in exactly the same way. And so the great thing about the web app is every time you go on the web app, it's always the most recent. Every time you refresh the page, it's the most recent version. So down here, again, you can click that question mark and you can see which version you're on and that it's the most up-to-date version. It's also here where you can contact Showbie or even request a feature if you wanted as well. So that's a really nice thing to know as well, that the web app is always up to date. You can also save this on an Android device to your home screen, so you've got quick access, which is a really nice feature as well, just by using the web shortcut feature at the moment. But I do know that we're pushing very hard to get Showbie into the Android space as well, and that's coming hopefully very soon.
We've also just been asked as well if pupils have an activity bell and they get notifications of what has been posted.
Yes, they do, which is brilliant. And also parents do. So if you use parent access, which we don't as a school, we made the choice not to, but students do get that. Yeah, they do get that little activity bell. It also changes from, it changes from a red icon to when there's no things left for them to look at. It changes to a bell without the little red dot. So that's quite a nice little feature as well. It shows when they've got a notification waiting for them. And they get notifications when a teacher uploads an assignment, when a teacher starts a video chat, when a teacher comments on something that they've done, or when a teacher adds a grade as well.
Great. And the final thing to just finish off with, which is quite nice, is the fact that somebody has just thanked you for the webinar.
Oh,
I just wanted to highlight that for you.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. I mean, genuinely, I think as a bit of context for this, we'd had a discussion, hadn't we, Sarah and Abdul, about how can we try and support teachers at this point in time. We deliberately didn't do it last week because we felt that everyone was still well and truly trying to get to grips with it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for the UK if you've not checked the news in the last hour or two, but the government here have just announced a couple of hours ago that we're definitely not going back before the 8th of March. So we know that we're in this for a bit more of a long haul now. So this, I think, is a perfectly placed webinar to try and help and support those people. And the reason I'm doing this particular webinar is to reach out to people. And if you know someone who's really struggling, if you've got a member of staff who's really struggling, you know, direct them to the Showbie YouTube channel. There's some fantastic content there. We'll make sure there's a link in that on the video the email that comes out after this webinar. But then do reach out to support. We've got an amazing support team, UK-based support team, and across the rest of the world as well. And also, you know, there's lots of educators like myself and the Showbie certified educator community who will always be willing to help people. So, you know, don't think you're alone in this. And that's the wonderful thing about Showbie. It's a company that cares about its users. And so it's really valuable to, you know, be able to share that with people. And if they do have problems, please do get in touch and we can try and solve them and sort them out. And I can see some more Q&As coming in now. So obviously if people want to head off, but we can absolutely continue if there's any more questions coming in. Sarah, I'm fine for time.
Great. I'm just going to quickly, just because we do have 5 minutes, I'm just going to check the chat tab just to see if anyone has posted any questions in there. I'm just going to quickly check that if you give me 2
I've got
seconds.
one question here that I'm just looking at.
Okay.
Is there a way of video calling the whole class? Absolutely. The way to video call the whole class is in the web app and in the iOS app. I go to class discussion. I go to class discussion and just tap there, and that will send it out. So class discussion can do that, or groups as well. So go to class discussion for whole group check-ins, basically.
There was just one question here, was do we have to ask for the recording or is it automatically sent out? You don't need to ask for the recording of this webinar. You will receive it in an email afterwards. So no, you don't need to request anything. You will automatically receive it.
Great. And if there is a feature, I'm just going to come off screen share now. If there is a particular feature that you feel that you need a little bit more help and support with, then again, do please reach out to us and we can either make sure that we've got that video, or if not, that can be my job to make that over the coming days to really help you. For example, I think quite a lot of people will have been quite surprised by that quick marking feature. And obviously the screen recording feature is quite new for some people. So we are trying to push out those features. And if you don't follow us on Twitter, please do, because that's an amazing resource. And also you get to see some amazing, great things that other educators are doing too. I'm just having a quick scan here. For me, I can see most, if not all, have been answered. How many pupils can you have in a video call? You can have 12 participants with up to 50 overall. And so 12 on video and 50 overall, which is hopefully more than enough for your class size. And obviously there's integrations into other applications as well if required. So I think that's about it from my end. Sarah and Abdul, anything else to add?
No, there was just one, sorry, there was just one last question. When setting a task on shared items, can you use a bold feature?
No.
Okay.
Ask another question, or I will. Have I already mentioned this to the development team, and are they actively looking into it as an enhancement? Yes. So being able to use rich text, so bold, underline, and italics are all things that have been mentioned and are a quite highly requested feature, and one which, after that question, I will go back and mention again.
Great stuff, guys. Can I just come in with one thing? There are additional webinars that are popping up on the Showbie website. So please feel free to kind of promote those. If you know of other schools that have just started going with Showbie, or you want to kind of have a look at that as well, we've got one tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Appreciate a lot of UK teachers will be teaching then, but we are kind of trying to address and support teachers globally as well. And there are webinars that are happening after school times as well. So absolutely, please do feel free to join. We've got everything from looking at Socrative and understanding Showbie to like hybrid learning and kind of amalgamating the use of the two tools. So feel free to kind of sign up and pass that information on So yeah, that's been a wonderful session with Chris. Fantastic. I'm going to pass this back to Sarah.
Great, thanks, Abdul. I don't see any more questions, so I'm just going to wrap up that Q&A side of things. But thank you so much for joining us on the webinar today. We hope that you found it useful and helpful in your remote or hybrid learning environments. But yeah, if you do
I'm ever so sorry. I've just seen one more, and if I don't talk about this will be ever so painful. Someone's saying, is there going to be a feature to be able to share feedback with other students? There is a feature to share feedback with other students. So are we all right for 30 seconds just to show this? If I can just, hopefully it won't cut us off on the half-hour mark. Is the plan. But if I just jump back in for one moment, because this is vital, especially when we're looking at students and how they feel in the classroom and being connected. Say, for example, here that there's this great piece of maths work by student A. There we go. They've already got a star. So what I could do is I can just swipe to the left or press and long hold, and I can create and make a copy. Tap make a copy. And then I can drop that into anywhere in Showbie, in any class, in any folder, in any assignment. We set up these great folders called celebrations, where the children were able to put content into there, or teachers were able to upload content from particular students. But say I wanted to share this great piece of work, I'd just tap share with everyone, and that would then go to everyone seeing child A's work. So that is not a feature coming, it's a feature there, and I couldn't not pass the opportunity to mention that. So sorry to interject, Sarah. That's very rude of me.
No, you are very welcome to do so.
If I went off this call without having mentioned that would have been shameful from my behalf. So I apologize, but it's taken me an hour to get to showing that feature in particular.
Great. If you do have any further questions about anything that Chris has gone through or about the platforms in general, you can email Chris at chris@showbie.com. You can email our support team at support@showbie.com. And like I said, you will receive a recording of this webinar in an email. So again, you don't need to request anything. It will automatically be sent out. Chris, is there anything you want to finally add just to finish off?
No, I just liked the last message that Paul has just sent me, which just says, I'm now off to emojify everything on Showbie, which is just lovely. And I hope that there's numerous practitioners doing that. But yeah, I'm available, contactable, and even on Twitter, Mr. L_L_Edu. I know Abdul's on there, and obviously Showbie too. Feel free to reach out if there's anything we can do to help. Thank you so much. And I genuinely wish everyone the absolute best in these very, very tricky and difficult times. As Showbie tweeted last week, you're all absolute superheroes and doing the most incredible, amazing job. So thank you on behalf of children all over the world.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone.